realize that in our societies nowadays, the health problematic is getting increased and will always be there in the very first place. After all, people are just a fragile creature, isn't it? And also, we do believe that whether we are a normal person or whether we are a smoker or those kinds of things, we will always getting easily or getting infected with the disease after all. And also, long before the existence of insurance itself, health medications are often considered as something that only rich people could afford. It's only considered as something that only as a wealth pressure for all those rich people. And by what we have already seen from the government bench here, they think that these kinds of things they want to take the insurance from the smokers, which means that they are going to bring these kinds of moments, bring these kinds of events back to this status quo right now, ladies and gentlemen. Because we've seen that these problems, that even in the existence of insurance nowadays, they are failed to cover all of their citizens, and they are failed to cover all of their disease, like ladies and gentlemen. And also, before I went even further, there are several reviews that I would like to deliver here regarding for the government bench. I would like to say that they are, unfortunately here, they are having a pretty big logical fallacy here, because they are talking about they are bringing this thing into Indonesia, which they have already acknowledged itself that the amount of smokers in Indonesia is pretty hard, and they have already acknowledged that it's more than 70%. And when they are trying to stop this kind of thing, that it means that they are justifying and glorifying the suffering that they will bring to these kinds of smokers, ladies and gentlemen. And also, they also telling that expelling them will encourage them to stop and stay out of smoker. But ladies and gentlemen, this is once again it's only based on assumption, because after all, ladies and gentlemen, smoking is not something that you could stop in a moment. Smoking is something that you cannot stop in a moment, and if you want to stop this kind of thing, it means that you will give a unnecessary burden for this kind of people in this momentary moment, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
I've already told you that this kind of things will related to the economic conditions that you've mentioned about. It precisely will change the paradigm for the poor people itself to change.
Okay, thank you. Order. Ladies and gentlemen, means that they once again acknowledge that they want to give this kind of suffering to these kinds of people that have already smoked since a long time ago, ladies and gentlemen. And also, they have already thought that medical treatment is so expensive without subsidies. Then they even thought that they already even acknowledge that the smokers is not only a rich people but also the poor societies, ladies and gentlemen. So then when they said that they want to take these kinds of state insurance from the smokers, means that they are once again trying to let these kinds of people die on suffering, ladies and gentlemen. And also, once again, ladies and gentlemen, they are trying to give us to bring us a really such a shame solution, ladies and gentlemen, here, because ladies and gentlemen, they are saying that they want to stop the poor societies to take these kinds of things, even though that we already know that these poor societies cannot afford a medical medication because they don't have money. So that's why they really need the state insurance itself, ladies and gentlemen. No, thank you. And also, ladies and gentlemen, here we are from the closing opposition. We will have a different approach to this kind of solution, ladies and gentlemen, because we do believe that by stopping or forbidding smokers is not really effective and cannot be done by these kinds of moments, ladies and gentlemen, because we've seen that Indonesia have a really long history of tobacco itself. Indonesia have a really long story of smoker itself, ladies and gentlemen, and Indonesia also getting a benefit and advantage from these kinds of tobacco things, ladies and gentlemen, including to subsidize these kinds of safety insurance, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, the spirit of this motion itself, we are talking whether or not that these smokers are still considered as a part of the society. We are talking about these kinds of people are still liable or still worth to take these kinds of things, ladies and gentlemen. And also, ladies and gentlemen, once we from the closing opposition have several different approaches in these kinds of things, ladies and gentlemen, we want to talk about the very first reason why smokers exist, the essence of state insurance, ladies and gentlemen, and the third, why state government, why state really have the obligation to cover all these kinds of things. No, thank you. The very first reason why the smoker exists is because that the smokers really need these kinds of state insurance, because they have a really bigger possibility to get a disease, ladies and gentlemen. That's why they have a bigger rights or bigger chance to have these kinds of state insurance, ladies and gentlemen. And also, we also have already realized that they are bringing this thing into Indonesia, which means that Indonesia have a really long history of smoker, really long history of really big approach and exposure to all kinds of societies, ladies and gentlemen. And also, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. And they also talking about the essence of, and we are going to talk about the essence of state insurance, ladies and gentlemen. This essence of state insurance, why they are exist, is they are trying to cover all of this kind of society, ladies and gentlemen, because we've seen that a long time ago there is no such thing as insurance. When people sick, they will have to pay for all of those things by themselves, and by the existence of insurance, they will have a better chance to cover their health, to cover their body, even though they have sickness on this kind of thing. And which means that if you are trying to take this kind of insurance for them, means that you are trying to take their chance or responsibility or their chance to cover themselves. It means that you are trying to limiting your society, and so on that case, ladies and gentlemen, how can you? Is it still justifying to mention that your society is not worth of the state insurance, ladies and gentlemen? Because we do believe that it's not, ladies and gentlemen. And also, why state has still the obligation to cover all of these things? Because we're talking about the self-determination. Even though that I have the full responsibilities and I have full rights to myself. The government doesn't have any obligation or rights to limiting myself by forbidding me to smoke or even to stop any kind of insurance for myself, because at the end of the day I have a self-determination, ladies and gentlemen. And maybe when they are saying that we are going to become, and that's why, ladies and gentlemen, our new stand is that we're not expelling them out. We are going to give a special category for them. We are still giving a state insurance for them, but we are going to increase the amount of money that they will have to pay, because we do realize that we all of us realize that the economical situation is the problem of this thing, because they still pay the same amount of money as this kind of normal person. So that's why we do believe that by increasing the amount of the money that they have to pay in their state, means that they will have a bigger chance to cover themselves, because we do realize that when they have a bigger chance to cover themselves, means that they will have a bigger chance to pay for these kinds of insurance, ladies and gentlemen, because we know that insurance is not something that coming from free things, ladies and gentlemen. So then if they pay much more money for these kinds of insurance, means that they will get a special treatment for these kinds of disease that they will getting easily to exposure, like lung disease or something like that. Means that we are giving them a better chance to covering themselves and make themselves health. So that's why once again we are back to oppose. Thank you.
Member of the opposition spends 7 minutes and 24. 7 minutes and 24. And to close the case from the government, here's the government whip. Time is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will try to explain it slowly but sure and slowly, and you have to understand what actually the exclusive thing that comes from the closing government. Actually, this debate is just talking about whether smoking is bad, whether the government allowance the smoker or anything else. But ladies and gentlemen, the problem from the opposition bench is they are indirectly told us that actually smoke is alright, ladies and gentlemen. Smoking is alright. Because of what? Because the government allow it, because the smoker is actually the society, so we have to cover it up. But ladies and gentlemen, we are a government, ladies and gentlemen. The main duty of the government is to keep our society healthy, ladies and gentlemen. It is not just bring them a food, ladies and gentlemen. Example, the analogy is very simple. If you are a children, you want to make your children is healthy, and you just simply take care of the children healthy, right? You don't make the children go to outside, go to make the other things that actually make their health is bad, ladies and gentlemen. It's actually the same with the smoker itself, ladies and gentlemen. When you just simply say that actually you want to cover up all of the health of the society because they are need to be covered, but they are do something bad, ladies and gentlemen, how come you consider that actually the bad is from the society, and you just simply look at it, it is okay because they are paying the tax. It is okay because they have a right to because they pay the tax, because they are contribute to the state insurance itself. Before that, yes.
If you say the responsibility of the government is to protect the health of society, then why your policy is letting these people?
Ladies and gentlemen, yes, I know. It will actually integrated in my argument, like Mr. Sorry. So what is actually comes from the closing government is actually, first of all, the principle of the insurance itself, ladies and gentlemen. Second, how come the principle of the insurance itself, it will in the future will come to the burden of the government because the opposition say, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about the principle of the insurance that actually missed from all of the speaker in our debate today. Principle of this insurance itself. State insurance, it means that they have a subsidized amount of money toward them. And insurance principle is that all of our society contribute a little of the money to make a payment or premium inside of them, and they are use it as a safe. If there are something happen accidentally, they will cover up all of the money and will help them to make this kind of the healthy will cover in the hospital itself. That is the principle. All of the society pay the money, and after they are accidentally sick, they will be cover them and there will be healthy money. It is the principle. So how come this kind of the principle is really not related toward the smoker itself? Actually, the opening government actually told us that is the smoker is doing this by their own self, but we want to extend it more and deeper. Actually, the smoker characterizations actually comes up in all of the speaker, but they all forget one thing, they do it so they have the risk to do it. If you have to do something, of course you know the risk, right? And all of the smoker right now know the risk and still do that. That is the bad things come from our society right now. So we want to make a regulation to make them to actually not have a lot of subsidizing amount of money that actually cover them, ladies and gentlemen. How come we say this actually being a burden? The burden will going up because of what? Because they are simply say that the medical treatment is really expensive, and the medical treatment actually really expensive will make the government to create a lot of subsidies toward them, and then there are